She risked everything at 3 a.m. to save her alpha mate. Dark werewolf romance exposed. The moon hung high, glowing ominously as shadows danced on the forest floor. A shiver crawled down her spine. Madison felt it, an urgency tinged with fear, a call whispering through the night. She knew he needed her. The air crackled with magic and danger, as she sprinted through the dense trees, every rustle amplifying her racing heart. A branch snapped nearby, and she forced herself to focus. She risked everything for him. Hours before, the howls had echoed through the quiet town, shaking her awake, piercing through her dreams. Those sounds weren't just howls, they were cries of pain, of desperation. They were coming from her mate, her alpha, a man whose strength was also his biggest vulnerability. Silently, she had watched him wrestle with his beast within, but now, he was losing the battle. Fear clawed at her throat as she recalled how his eyes burned a molten gold, filled with anguish instead of the fierce determination she adored. She pushed past the underbrush, her breath a frantic rhythm, heart pounding like a drum. Unseen eyes watched her, shadows flitting between trees. Was it just the moon casting wicked shapes, or was she being hunted? She shouldn't be out here alone, others from her pack had warned her. But they didn't understand. They didn't know what she felt for him, the depths of her connection. It was a bond deeper than blood. With each step, the scent of earth and pine mixed with something metallic, something sour. She tasted the urgency on her tongue. She was close, she could feel him. A pang of exhilaration surged through her, quickly quenched by dread. Would she make it in time? Light flickered on the horizon, the sun struggled to break through, but it was still just a thin, pale line. The night was far from over. She squinted her eyes to peer into the darkness, searching for the unmistakable flash of a wolf's fur, just a flicker, something to anchor her. Madison. A voice called from the shadows, sharp and chilling. It was Derek, her pack's protector. You shouldn't be here. It's too dangerous. The warning hung thick in the air between them, heavy with unspoken fears. Why wouldn't they understand? Nothing could keep her from him. Before we continue, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The forest fell unnervingly quiet, each heartbeat echoing like thunder. She pressed on, adrenaline pumping through her veins. Something cracked ominously behind her, and she spun around, skin prickling. It felt like the trees were alive, holding their breath, waiting for whatever horror loomed ahead. Suddenly, a howl rose from the depths of the forest, electric and desperate, clutching at her heart. It wasn't just any howl, it was his. A flash of silver caught her eye, her breath hitched. There he was, grounded on the edge between man and beast, his body racked with pain. She felt every trembling muscle, every ragged breath. The alpha was losing control, and if she didn't act fast, it would mean disaster for them both. But what could she do? The pull of darkness was strong, and shadows danced at the fringes. Would she get to him in time? The answer hung in the air, densely pregnant with uncertainty. She was on the brink of something, whether salvation or doom, she couldn't yet tell. The night still held its secrets, and with them, her heart raced. Panic surged through Madison as she rushed toward him, her feet pounding the ground. The air felt thick, charged with an energy that made every hair on her body stand on end. She wasn't just racing through the forest, she was racing against time itself. With every howl that echoed around her, the pain of her alpha screamed louder and louder, twisting her gut into knots. Madison, don't! Derek shouted again, desperation lacing his voice. He stepped closer, but she shoved past him, not breaking stride. He didn't understand that this was more than duty to her pack, it was love, pure and fierce, driving her to him. Then there was a darker shadow among the trees. Madison's heart leaped. It was him. She could barely make out his shape, wild and mighty, but trembling with a torment that twisted her insides. The moon illuminated his massive frame, muscles so taut he almost seemed to be made of steel. His head hung low, fangs bared as he struggled against the beast that fought to claim him. "Please," she whispered, as if he could hear her thoughts, her fears. And in that moment, everything else faded away, the trees, the shadows, the danger gathering around her. There was only him. "Get back!" Derek shouted, urgency breaking his composure. "We have to retreat. It's too late." "No." Madison fired back, anger flaring. "If I leave him now, I lose him forever." She fought against her instincts, the terror lurking behind every rustle in the leaves. But as she stepped forward, a low growl erupted from the dark shape before her, a sound so primal it froze her in place. A grotesque figure emerged from the shadows, a monstrous beast with matted fur and eyes like burning coals. It lunged toward Madison, teeth glistening. She scrambled back, heart hammering, but before she could react, an explosion of silver surged past her. The Alpha. He roared, a sound of defiance that rattled bone and stirred the very ground beneath her feet. "Stay back!" He barked, his voice a mix of man and beast, hoarse with desperation. Madison's breath hitched, she could see the struggle in his eyes, the fierce battle for dominance raging inside him. The monster lunged again, but her Alpha was quicker, moving with a grace that seemed almost supernatural. It wasn't he all raw power, he was a predator, and he fought with every ounce of his being. She could feel the magnetic pull between them, a bond that was more than love, it was the essence of their connection, intertwining like threads of fate. "Madison!" he cried, eyes flickering between gold and deep brown, pain etched across his face. "Get to safety. I can't hold on much longer." "No." The refusal was fierce and desperate. "I'm not leaving you." Yet Derek was at her side, urgency crashing like waves. "We can't fight it. The darker force is too strong. We need to retreat and regroup." Madison shook her head, fear bubbling just beneath the surface. Was this her moment of certainty or a step toward calamity? She saw her love struggling, every muscle tensed, the shadows creeping ever closer. Would she witness the Alpha she adored lose himself to the curse? Suddenly, the ground beneath her trembled as the creature charged again. She gasped, adrenaline coursing through her veins, pushing her feet forward once more. It was now or never. Pushing through her instinct to flee, she shouted, "Together, we can do this." They both stood side by side. Her heart pounded, realizing they must combine their strengths if they were to survive. But would that strength be enough? As the moon cast its eerie glow on the battle about to unfold, she wondered, was this the beginning of their fight or the end of everything she held dear? The answer loomed, dark and uncertain, pulling them into the depths of a night that would change their fates forever. And in that moment of heart-stopping tension, a chilling laughter echoed through the woods, revealing a hidden enemy. What more awaited them in the shadows? Madison felt the tension crackle in the air as the laughter reverberated through the trees. It was a sound not of joy, but of malice, a sinister mockery that sent a chill down her spine. She glanced back at Derek, his eyes wide with fear, but she couldn't tear her gaze away from the shadow that lurked beyond the moonlight. "Who is there?" she shouted, her voice strong despite the quiver deep inside. The laughter faded into an unsettling silence, but the danger was palpable, thickening with every breath she took. Her Alpha stood towering beside her, breathing heavily, his body taut with fury and desperation. The creature before them, grotesque and furious, was on the cusp of attacking again, and Madison could feel the urgency radiating from him. This was their moment, a decision that could change everything. "Madison, you have to trust me," he growled, the war within him evident as his voice shifted between the man she loved and the beast he fought. "We can't stand against this, it's too powerful." "But trust." It was a blade edged with hope and despair. What could she trust when everything felt so wrong? I'm not taking a step back, she declared, her eyes fiery with determination. If we don't fight together, then you'll lose yourself forever. I won't give up on you. He blinked, gritting his teeth, battling against the force inside him. The monster snarled, snapping its jaws, and the sound of its claws scraping against the earth resounded through the forest. Madison's heart thundered, she refused to lose him. Not now. Not ever. The creature lunged, its movement as quick as lightning, and before she could comprehend it, her alpha dove toward it. The collision was thunderous, a clash of fur and claw as the two titans battled for dominance. She stood frozen, torn. Her instincts screamed at her to run, but her heart urged her to stay. Madison, now. Derek's voice snapped her from her trance. He grabbed her arm, but she yanked free, stepping into the chaos. Get to safety. Her alpha barked, but she only shook her head, refusing to abandon him. No. She shouted, the word filled with a fierce defiance. In that split second, she felt something deep stirring within her, a sudden shift, a surge of adrenaline that lightened her chest. It was time to act. Madison reached for the silver pendant she always wore, a gift from her mother, and in that moment, it slipped smoothly into her palm. The metal glinted in the moonlight, and she remembered the stories of its power. Silver was a force against darkness, a weapon they could wield if they only had the courage. Get back! She screamed, thrusting the pendant towards the monster as it struggled to pin her alpha. The creature faltered, its eyes narrowing as it hesitated, sensing the threat. Madison felt the air change, a weight shifting, and the laughter returned, sinister and low. You really think that trinket will save your doomed love affair? A voice spoke from the shadows, smooth and dripping with disdain. It swirled through the trees, and Madison squinted to see who was hiding, heart pounding like a war drum. I know you. She gasped, recognition jolting through her. You were there at the clearing last month, the one whose silence. The figure stepped forward into the moonlight, revealing sharp features and a wicked smile. It was a face she never wanted to see again, the face of her enemy. Your foolish bravery will be your downfall. Madison's heart sank. She now stood not just against a beast, but against something darker that encapsulated her worst fears. And with that, she knew there was no escaping this. Every decision had led them here, towards a confrontation that couldn't be ignored. The winds howled, and the darkness surged, swirling around them as her alpha struggled to break free. Time seemed to slow as the figure laughed once more, and Madison steeled herself for the battle that lay ahead. What price would she pay to save him? What sacrifices would be demanded of her? The answer loomed as the invisible lines of fate twisted around them, and the shadows deepened, pulling them into a fate wrought with uncertainty. Madison's heart raced as shadows enveloped her, the chilling laughter of her enemy still echoing in her ears. It felt as if the entire forest held its breath, waiting for the next move. She could see the beast struggling beneath her alpha, its claws raking across the ground, yearning to break free and inflict the chaos that she feared it would. Derek! She shouted, panic lacing her voice. Her eyes darted between the looming creature and the swirling figure of her foe, each heartbeat a reminder of the urgency clawing at her gut. The pendant in her hand grew warm, radiating a power she had only heard whispered about in stories. With every ounce of courage she could muster, Madison lunged forward, the silver pendant gleaming like a beacon in the shadowy night. You won't take him. She yelled, the words spilling from her lips like a spell. The creature, momentarily distracted by her determination, shifted its focus onto her. Its feral eyes glowed with hunger and rage as it snarled, revealing rows of elongated, razor-sharp teeth. She felt a thrill of fear prickling at her skin, but behind that fear was an unyielding resolve. She had to believe in the strength of the pendant. She had to believe in herself. The figure stepped back, eyes narrowing. You think that trinket protects you? It is merely a token of your ignorance, he said, voice dripping with contempt. You have no idea what you're up against. Madison felt the power of those words scrape against her confidence. Uncertainty flooded her mind for a brief moment, but she pushed it aside. "You don't scare me. You're nothing but a coward hiding in the shadows." Before the figure could retort, the creature erupted with a deafening roar, its beastly form surging as it tried to shake off Derek. Madison gritted her teeth and focused intently on the pendant. She felt its warmth flowing into her, filling her with a surge of power and courage. "Together," she urged Derek, her voice holding a fierce edge. "We can beat this." He glanced at her, a mix of pain and hope in his eyes. With a growl that rolled deep in his chest, he sprung back, pushing the beast away from him, giving Madison just enough space to swing the pendant in an arc, aiming at the beast's exposed flank. The silver sliced through the darkness like a blade, a blinding light erupting from the pendant as it made contact. A howl echoed through the night, not of an animal wounded but of something far more ancient and furious. The creature stumbled, recoiling as dread filled its eyes. "Foolish girl." The figure spat, moving swiftly towards them. But as he stepped forward, Derek lunged, a feral growl ripping from his throat. They now faced an enemy closer than ever, and as the shadows thickened around them, Madison knew they were teetering on the edge of something monumental. Derek's focus turned to her, his eyes wide with both fear and a burning desire to protect. "Get the pendant away from it, Madison," he urged, voice strained, but before she could respond, the air crackled with energy. The figure's laughter returned, louder and more derisive than before. "You have no idea who you're truly fighting." The air around them shimmered, dark tendrils spiraling towards them, cloaked in layers of mystery and deceit. Madison's breath hitched, caught in her throat. What did he mean? Was there more at stake than just their battle here and now? In that instant, as uncertainty clawed at her heart, she knew they were dancing on the edge of an abyss, and the truth loomed closer than they realized. What if the very thing that bound them was also what could destroy them? Madison's pulse thundered in her ears as the shadows thickened, the figure looming closer, a smirk playing across his lips. The air felt heavier, pregnant with danger. The pendant in her hand pulsed warmly, urging her forward, yet a flicker of doubt crept into her mind. What was she really up against? The figure's words echoed, swirling around her thoughts like the trees bending in the wind. They were fighting for more than just Derek's survival. There was something deeper, something ancient hidden in the heart of this battle. "Madison." Derek's voice was a jagged whisper, cutting through the fog of uncertainty that threatened to sink her. Each breath she took felt more like a weight on her chest. "We have to," but before he could finish, the beast roared, launching itself towards them, its powerful muscles rippling beneath matted fur. Madison's instincts kicked in, and she rushed forward, swinging the pendant with desperate force, the silver edge glinting as it caught the moonlight. A blinding flash erupted as it struck the creature. The beast stumbled, snarling, the sound a mix of rage and confusion. Madison felt a jolt of energy travel through her veins, the pendant responding to her fear and anger. "Stay back!" she screamed, the words tumbling out as adrenaline coursed through her. But the figure laughed again, a low, throaty sound that sent shivers down Madison's spine. "You think you're winning?" he taunted, stepping closer, shadows swirling like smoke around him. "You're only awakening what you don't understand." The creature fell back, but the battle was far from over. There was an urgency in Derek's eyes that fueled her determination. "We can do this," she murmured, half to herself, half to him. Together, but together didn't he feel like enough as more dark tendrils began to coil around their legs, creeping in like cold fingers trying to pull them into the depths of despair. The ground beneath them trembled, and Madison staggered, glancing around in panic. The forest was alive, and it was hungry. Her heart sank as she caught sight of glittering red eyes watching from the shadows. There were more of them, others lurking in the darkness, waiting with bated breath. "Derek, we need to go," she urged, her voice rising, cutting through the haze of fear. Without hesitation, he lunged at her side, and together they stepped back, the pendant hanging between them like a bridge to hope. "What do we do?" he breathed, glancing back at the beast, whose posture had shifted. It wasn't just angry. It was confused, a predator trapped by forces it couldn't understand. Madison's mind raced as she scanned the area, searching for answers. She remembered whispers of fables about choices made in darkness. We have to end this. We have to confront him. Not just the beast, but what he is. But the words hadn't even left her mouth when the figure surged toward them, dark laughter resonating beneath the understated chaos, weaving a cocoon of fear. Face the truth, girl. You're standing on a razor's edge, and your bravery will be your downfall. Madison's throat tightened. He wants to use us, doesn't he? She realized, even as she spoke, that her heart wasn't just racing from fear, it was alive with a pulse of truth. Derek's grip tightened on her hand, and she felt the strength radiating from him. We won't let him win. Not today. But a loud crack echoed from behind, branches snapping like dry bones, and a new presence loomed, pushing through the fog of shadows. Madison turned, the air thick with foreboding. What have we unleashed? She muttered, eyes wide with shock. The truth was surfacing in jagged pieces, a dangerous puzzle waiting to be completed. As the figure smirked, the darkness around them pulsed, and a chilling voice broke through. Are you ready to learn exactly who you're fighting? Because the secrets of the forest have awakened. Madison's heart dropped as the realization dawned. What they thought was just the beginning might instead be the unraveling of everything she thought she knew. Madison's breath came in quick bursts as she fixed her gaze on the new figure emerging from the shadows. It was taller, its shape indistinct, shifting slightly as if it were woven from the darkness itself. The chilling voice echoed, wrapping around her like a cold shawl. Understanding what you've disturbed is your only hope. Derek's grip on her hand tightened, and a flash of fear passed between them. The pendant pulsed with an intensity that seemed to echo the frantic beat of Madison's heart. What do you mean? She shouted, clutching the pendant like a lifeline. A laugh, deeper and more resonant than the first, rolled through the night air. The forest has its guardians. You've stirred them awake. The figure stepped closer, revealing sharp features and eyes that gleamed like polished stones. Madison's mind raced. Guardians? What did that mean for them? The connection between the pendant and the beast was tightening like the noose of impending doom. No, she said, her voice barely a whisper. This can't be happening. Movement in the dark drew her eyes. The earlier beast, now recovering from the shock of the pendant, began to rise slowly. It shook its head, muscles tightening, but something different seemed to flicker behind its angry red eyes. Behold your companion. The figure gestured in a sweeping arc toward the recovering beast. What you see is no mere monster. It is a guardian, bound to the will of the forest. And now it seeks you. Madison staggered back, Derek pulsing with tension beside her. No. We didn't ask for this. His voice was a mix of anger and desperation. The figure stepped closer, their shadow darkening Madison's heart with an oppressive weight. Choices have consequences. And now you must learn to wield your power, both of you. The beast began to gather its strength, snarling low, confusion giving way to something more primal. Madison felt that cling of fate tighten around them, like vines wrapping around her limbs, weighing her down. How do we wield power over something we barely understand? With one shake of the figure's head, the shadows darkened further. You will understand. The answers you seek are buried deep within. Find them, and you may just survive this night. Madison's chest tightened. And if we don't? A silence loomed, pregnant with the weight of unspoken certainties. Then you will lose more than your lives. The very essence of what you value will be stripped from this world. Fear surged through Derek, his protective instincts flaring. We can't let that happen. Madison, that beast, it's in pain. He pointed. It needs help. With a deep breath, Madison focused on the creature, the pendant now humming. She felt the warmth radiating through her palm, a reminder of the trust she needed to place in herself. We can't fight what we don't understand. But we can connect. Derek nodded, but doubt flickered in his eyes. What if it turns on us? We have to take that risk, Madison urged. It's the only way. In a sweeping motion, Madison raised the pendant. The radiant glow pulsed like a beacon in the night, illuminating the surroundings and casting strange shadows. The beast froze, head tilting as if drawn in by the pendant's call, confusion slowly melting into something akin to recognition. Can you feel it? Madison whispered, sensing a shift in the air. The forest responded, the tendrils of darkness receding under the light. But the figure stood unfazed, arms crossed like a predator eyeing its prey. You think light will save you? The shadows are still watching. They always are. The truth in those words sent a cold shiver down Madison's spine. No. This is just the beginning, isn't it? A grim smile spread across the figure's face, their eyes gleaming with sinister delight. The real challenge has yet to begin. Embrace what's to come. You'll need every ounce of that pendant and each other to face what lurks beneath. Madison felt a pulse of desperation surge through her body. Something terrible was looming, something that would test everything she and Derek had fought for. The ground shuddered beneath her feet as she struggled to hold tight to the pendant, to the hope it represented. As the darkness swirled, tightening its grip like threads weaving a noose, Madison knew they were being watched. And an unsettling thought crept in. What if the greatest monster wasn't the beast at all but the truth lurking in their very souls? The night deepened, shadows heavy with menace, and she realized that their only way out was to confront whatever ancient evil lay ahead, what lay at the heart of the forest's secrets. In that moment of uncertainty, one thing became abundantly clear: neither she nor Derek were prepared for the confrontation that awaited them at dawn. Madison's heart thundered as shadows surged around them, constricting like an iron grip. The beast's eyes glinted, filled with an otherworldly light, and for a fleeting moment, Madison sensed a flicker of understanding between them, a shared isolation, a bond tethered by their respective fears. Let us try. She urged, her voice rising above the cacophony of rustling leaves and hooting owls. She stepped toward the beast, hand outstretched, pendant shimmering in the darkness. I know you feel pain, we can help you. Derek hesitated, then stepped closer, compelled by her conviction. What if it hurts you? He cautioned, his voice shaking despite his effort to stay strong. But Madison saw it, a flash of vulnerability in his eyes. She returned his gaze, her own filled with resolve. The figure lurking in the shadows laughed softly, with a sound that echoed like shattered glass. Do you hear the trees whispering? They know your fate is intertwined. But heed this, creatures of the dark are not as forgiving as you believe. Shut up. Derek snapped, fueled by anger. We're not afraid of you. Yet you should be, the figure hissed, gesturing toward the tangle of shadows beyond them. The guardians depart where darkness dwells. It will be your hesitation that condemns you, not my words. In that instant, the beast surged forward. Madison's heart leaped into her throat. It was moving, muscles rippling with immense power. But when it came close, the intense force seemed to waver as its nostrils flared, drawing in the scent of the pendant emanating warmth and safety. Keep it calm, Madison whispered urgently to Derek, wrapping her other hand around the pendant. Energy pulsed like a heartbeat, sharing its essence with them. It's hurt, but it's scared, too. She took a breath, grounding herself, unwilling to let fear dictate their next move. The beast's growl faded, morphing into a low whimper. The sound was heart-wrenching, echoing a primal plea for understanding amidst chaos. Madison knelt, still holding Derek's hand, and brought the pendant closer. Feel me, she murmured, projecting her thoughts into the creature's mind as if her essence could merge with its own. I'm here to help. We are all connected, you're not alone. The beast blinked, confusion giving way to something softer. She could almost see it struggle beneath the surface, the layers of ferocity peeling back to reveal pain and longing. Trust us, Derek added, kneeling beside her. We mean you no harm. We can heal. The shadows flickered erratically, and just as Madison thought they'd broken through an invisible barrier, a guttural roar reverberated through the trees. The laughter from the figure deepened, transforming from a cacophony into a madness that vibrated through the very ground beneath them. Suddenly, a monstrous shape emerged from the dark, a colossal entity, its form shifting and coiling like smoke-made flesh. It towered over them, dark tendrils weaving through the air, whispering promises of doom as it drew close. Eyes burning with ancient rage fixated on Madison and Derek. "No!" the figure roared, face twisted in disbelief. "You think you can mend what has broken for eons?" Madison's breath hitched, the air thick with dread as the creature lunged, the ground quaking, and the trees creaking under the oppressive weight of an unseen tension. Together, Derek shouted, grabbing Madison's hand tighter, the pendant glowing with renewed vigor. "We can do this." But deep down, Madison felt uncertainty pulse through her veins. What if this wasn't their fight to win? What if their connection only deepened the darkness? Just as the enormous creature's shadow loomed over them, a single thought pierced her mind: could the strength of their bond conquer the malevolence surrounding them? In the face of overwhelming odds and swirling chaos, they would have to confront not just the shadow, but their own deepest fears. And what price would they ultimately pay for their choice? The ground trembled beneath them, the roar echoed, yet a faint whisper lingered around their souls: the dawn would not simply bring light, but the battle for their very existence. What lay in store as the sun threatened to rise? Would they emerge victorious, or was this the beginning of intertwining fates they could never foresee? Madison felt the earth shudder under their feet, urgency tugging at her instincts. The shadow above them coiled like a serpent, pulsating with a malignance that turned her stomach. She couldn't falter now, not when hope flickered so tenuously between them. "What do we do?" Derek's voice trembled, eyes locked on the several swirling tendrils threatening to engulf them. His grip on her hand tightened with a mix of fear and determination. Somehow, it steadied her. "Focus on the pendant," she whispered, forcing her heartbeat to calm against the storm around them. "It's our only chance." The pendant thrummed to life in her hand, its glow intensifying as the dark energy flickered around them. The creature paused, its eyes narrowing, not in rage but in curiosity. Was it feeling the warmth, the courage radiating from them? The shadowy form shifted, dark tendrils reaching out, brushing against Madison's skin like cold fingers, probing, testing the strength of her will. She shivered, a chill creeping down her spine. She squeezed Derek's hand tighter. "Stay close," she murmured, heart racing, battling the primal instincts that screamed at her to flee. The figure in the shadows laughed again, cruel and mocking. "Such naive courage. You think the bond you share can conquer what stands before you? The abyss hungers for the warmth you wield." Madison turned her gaze away from the figure, defiance burning in her chest. "This is not just warmth. It's understanding. We know you're hurting too." The words tumbled out, shaky but raw. The colossal beast hesitated, eyes flickering between anger and something else. Was it desperation? "You dare speak of understanding? You know nothing of suffering." It roared, and the sound pierced through her, winding around her throat like a noose. But then, with a glance shared between her and Derek, a quiet resolve settled in. "We can," Derek shot back, his voice steady now. "We're fighting for the light. For ourselves and for you." The creature recoiled slightly, surprise rippling through its form. For a heartbeat, the darkness around it dimmed, as if unsure how to process their challenge. Madison drew in a breath, amplifying her connection to the pendant. Its pulse synchronized with the tempest of emotions swirling around them. "Let us show it," she whispered, summoning every ounce of strength and determination she could muster. "For those who've lost their way, for all that has been forgotten." Derek nodded, eyes fierce as he brushed his thumb across the pendant's surface, elongating their entwined energy into a brilliant light. Madison mirrored him, and suddenly, the air around them began to shimmer, stretching across boundaries she'd never realized existed. The darkness recoiled, hissing and swirling as if struggling against an unseen force. For the first time, she felt her heartbeat shift from fear to conviction, infusing her every word with power. Together, we can break this. We can heal. She cried, voice ringing through the night like a beacon piercing the dark. And then everything exploded, light erupted from their joined hands, arcing into the shadows, washing over everything in blinding brilliance. Each tendril thrummed violently, the shadows screaming, but as they coiled back towards the depths, a glimmer of what seemed like unbrushed hope flickered at the edges. Madison's breath quickened, each raw second stretching into eternity as the overwhelming darkness fought against the light. Hold on! Derek yelled, adrenaline surging, their connection tightening like tethered strands. We're almost there. But just as victory appeared within reach, a dreadful rumble shook the ground. The figure that had taunted them leaped forward, eyes blazing with fury, intent on weaving the final thread of despair. Madison felt dread inundate her senses as a weight pressed down on her stomach. Was their defiance enough? In that moment of wavering light and encroaching dark, a choice had to be made. Would they press on into the uncertain challenge of pushing the shadow back, or would they face the consequence of their defiance, a consequence that could shatter their promise of freedom? As the dawn threatened to break, the air thickened with uncertainty. Madison's heart raced, her thoughts swirling. What line would they cross? Would they emerge into the light or lose themselves to the shadows forever? The confrontation had only just begun. The blinding light coursed between Madison and Derek, illuminating the shifting shadows that writhed around them. It felt alive, electric with an intensity that seared their skin and invigorated their spirits. Yet, within that brilliance, a sense of dread clawed at their resolve. The menacing figure surged forward like a fury unleashed, growing larger and more ominous with each passing second. Don't back down! Madison shouted, her voice echoing against the tumult of darkness. She tightened her grip around the pendant, praying it would hold its power amidst the cauldron of fear surrounding them. Derek's eyes narrowed, determination solidifying his features. Together! He boomed, lifting his other hand, merging their energies further. Light exploded in every direction, exposing the contours of the shadow creature's grotesque form. It shrieked in rage, a sound that trembled through the night and rattled Madison's bones. The ground beneath them trembled again, but this time it felt different. It wasn't just an earthquake, it carried a snarl, a promise of pain lurking within the shadow's fury. Madison's heart hammered wildly in her chest as she sensed the creature's wrath boiling over. They had poked the beast, and now it wouldn't rest until it had pulled them into its dark embrace. Find the source of its power. Derek shouted, his voice cutting through the chaos like a shard of glass. If we can unravel it, we can defeat it. Madison's mind raced. The eyes, she cried, her eyes darting to the glimmering orbs that glowed amid the darkness. They're the key. Without a second thought, they lunged toward the gleaming eyes, pouring every ounce of energy into the pendant. The shadows twisted and churned, fighting fiercely against their movement, tendrils driving towards them like angry vipers seeking to constrict and suffocate. Push through! Derek urged, his voice strained but unyielding. Madison felt the cold caress of shadow against her skin, but it only fueled her resolve. I want to let you take us. She countered defiantly. She could feel the heat of the pendant in her palm, pulsating as the bond between them sparked to life. With a fierce war cry, Derek and Madison unleashed a wave of light that pulsed through the air, radiating toward the source of the darkness. The light connected with the eyes, and an explosion of sound erupted like glass shattering and thunder rumbling in sync. The creature shrieked, thrashing wildly as its power crackled around them. Each pulse sent tremors through Madison's body, but she couldn't waver now. With every heartbeat, she pictured the warmth the creature had lost, imagining filling those empty eyes with light and understanding. Please, Madison shouted. Let us heal you. The words echoed, hanging in the air as silence fell momentarily. The creature paused, the shadow can't defy the warmth they shared. For a heartbeat, the chaos subsided, and it seemed they had breached the seemingly impenetrable barrier until a colossal force surged from the depths of darkness. The ground bucked violently as the shadow reeled back, claws extending, ready to devour them. Panic seized Madison. In that split second, she realized it wouldn't be enough just to battle the darkness outside them, they had to confront the darkness within it too. It was a truth that chilled her to the bone. Suddenly, the pendant darkened, its glow flickering like a candle in a storm, threatening to go out entirely. "Madison!" Derek shouted, desperation climbing in his voice. "Hold on to it. Don't let it go." But as shadows closed in like an incoming tide, the lines of fate blurred. Every ounce of hope felt strained. Where would their strength come from? In the depths of despair, Madison hesitated. Could they turn the tide? Should they risk delving deeper into the creature's pain? As doubts clawed viciously at her thoughts, the shadows surged, ready to consume their very essence. The question loomed in the chaotic air: would they brave the unknown to heal, or would darkness finally swallow them whole? Madison felt the earth tremble beneath her as darkness swirled around them, threatening to engulf their very souls. The weight of dread pressed against her chest like a heavy stone, but in that moment, she remembered why they were here: love, strength, and the bonds they forged together. Together, she whispered to Derek, her voice fierce with determination. The pendant pulsed in her grasp, filled with the warmth of hope. It didn't matter how fierce the darkness became, they would face it head-on, united. The colossal beast's roar erupted like thunder, its piercing eyes fixated on them. It lunged, claws extended, but Madison raised the pendant high, a beacon of light in the gloom. As the silver glimmer met the shadow, a fissure broke open in the darkness, revealing the tumultuous emotions within the creature. "Look!" Derek shouted, pointing. The beast faltered, confusion flashing across its face, and for a flickering moment, Madison could see the fear underlying its fury. "It's scared just like us." "Yes." She gasped, emboldened by Derek's insight. "It's suffering. It doesn't want to be this way." With that thought igniting her heart, she focused everything she had, channeling love and understanding into the pendant. "You're not alone," she cried. "We can help you." In a surge of defiance, Madison took a step forward, heart racing. It was risky, maybe even foolish, but she couldn't turn back now. Derek mirrored her movements, grounding their connection. They focused on the beast, and with every passing moment, she felt a tether connecting them, pulling her into the depths of the creature's anguished soul. The shadowy tendrils writhed, and she gasped as echoes of pain flooded her mind, revealing memories wrapped in despair and loneliness. She could feel it, the relentless torment that had twisted the guardian into a monster. But then, something else emerged beneath a flicker of vibrancy, warmth buried deep within the shadows, yearning to break free. "Please," Madison urged, her voice earnest and raw. "Let us help you. Together, we can heal this pain." The pendant's glow brightened, spilling light into the darkness. The beast wavered, its monstrous form pausing as it assimilated her words. With each heartbeat, Madison felt the warmth of connection grow, weaving through her very being. Derek squeezed her hand tighter, more resolute than ever. "You're not just a monster. You're so much more." The figure clinging to the edges of the forest unleashed a laugh drenched in malice. "Foolish children. You don't understand what you're dealing with." But Madison pushed aside the taunts, positioning herself to face the creature head-on. A soft glow radiated from the pendant, spreading warmth throughout the dark landscape. The beast seemed to hesitate, muscles still trembling, unsure how to respond. Tears prickled at Madison's eyes as she saw the beast faltering, battling against the turmoil within. She sensed its confusion, the desperation for understanding, and her heart swelled with a fierce urge to save it. With a resolute voice, Madison took a step closer, as if her heart bore the weight of the world. "Just listen," she implored. "You can choose to be something other than a weapon forged by darkness." And then it happened. The pendant's glow expanded, bursting forth like the dawn breaking over the horizon. It enveloped the beast in shimmering light, illuminating the dark recesses of its spirit. With each breath, Madison felt layers of pain peel away, the energy spilling hope into the shadows. The creature froze, and time stood still. Madison felt a connection with everything: the forest, the stars, and the very essence of what it meant to love fiercely yet selflessly. Behind her, Derek stood steadfast, courage blazing in his eyes. Together, they murmured, holding the pendant aloft as sunlight began to pierce through the canopy above. The creature's growl softened, disbelief wavering as it took a tentative step toward them. "Stay with us," Derek said, the softness in his voice breaking through the somber atmosphere. "You can be whole." Suddenly, a surge of energy pulsed through the air, and the shadows recoiled, dissipating as rays of dawn began to slice through the gloom. The beast, trembling, shifted uncertainly before them, a reflection of its inner turmoil, but it looked less monstrous, reclaiming a glimmer of its former grace. "You can break free," Madison urged, her heart swelling with determination. The pendant flared brighter, revealing the truth lurking beneath the surface. "This doesn't have to be your fate." And then, in an act of pure defiance against the darkness that sought to consume them all, Madison began to walk forward, arms open wide as if embracing the creature. "You deserve freedom, as we do." A momentary hush fell over the forest, the breeze whispering through the trees. Slowly, the beast stepped forward. A flicker of light glinted in its eyes, and Madison knew, they were on the brink of change. Their connection tightened, and the pendants glowed even brighter, illuminating the depths of the forest. The shadows writhed, releasing their hold as the first rays of sunlight broke through. The figure lurking behind them, once so powerful, staggered in the face of dawning light. Shrieking in rage, the dark entity melted into the earth, losing its grip entirely. As dawn painted the sky, the creature transformed. It was breathing more easily now, face shifting between animal and something truly magnificent. The guardian within it awake and aware, pulsing with the light it had sought to regain. Madison exhaled, tears spilling down her cheeks as recognition flashed between them. Derek wrapped an arm around her shoulder, strength coursing between them like a warm current. They had broken the shackles of despair and forged a bond stronger than either had believed possible. With the shadows scattering into the underbrush, the guardians of the forest revealed themselves, a multitude of shimmering shapes, all standing guard. The soft sounds of nature returning filled the air as a courageous peace settled like a promise resting on the horizon. Madison felt the warmth of something greater wash over her, a moment of sheer joy unfurling in her chest. The forest was alive with celebration, and they were together no longer just alpha and mate, but something entwined forever through the fires they had faced. They turned toward the path leading back, hearts entwined with hope for the future, knowing they would never walk alone again. The journey had changed them, showing them the importance of love, courage, and embracing the shadows to find the light beyond. As they walked, Madison smiled at Derek, the man who had stood beside her through it all. "Whatever comes next, we face it together." "Absolutely," he replied, pulling her close as dawn broke free in all its glory. They emerged from the shadows, side by side, ready to embrace whatever awaited them. And in a world forever marked by their fight, a new chapter began, one filled with promise, belonging, and fierce love. You need to subscribe now to ensure you don't miss the next exclusive stories that await. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and show your support for the channel. Flood the comments section with your reactions and wild theories about this epic conclusion. And please, instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to experience this incredible finale. Don't wait even one more second to share. True fans know how important every action is.